on our display capture. All right, here we go. So we've got dev blog number 25 released for the month of May, and we're starting out here with Philippe Tessero. I believe that's how you pronounce it, the lead programmer. And Philippe says, "Hey everyone, this month I've been primarily focused on enhancements, improvements to existing systems and bug fixes as we wrap up the final piece of Update 5 and all of its new systems. The skin system is complete and ready to go. We're all very eager to get it into your hands as soon as possible, but we will see if any issues crop up during the stress test. Now that Update 5 is on the cusp of completion, all of my tasks are finished, so I've shifted attention to the development of Update 6, Gore, and beyond. So far, it's been going extremely well, to the point that the special ability for the Troodon is functional and nearly complete. However, it will be subject to vigorous testing to ensure that it's neither weak or overpowered. That's it for me this month, as May has primarily revolved around making various fixes and adjustments. See you next time." So, not a heck of a lot there, but let's break it down. So we nearly got Update 5 right now. The skin customization system is complete, and right now they're just really, I believe, working on polishing and testing the nesting system. So hopefully that'll be out to us here soon. I'd say with a strong degree of confidence, it should be sometime here in June. There may be just a teensy bit of hopeful thinking there, but Given the phrasing here from Philippe, I'd say it's warranted to say that Update 5 is on the cusp of completion. He's got all of his stuff done, so I would presume it's mostly moved on to the QA team to test things and make sure everything's good. Save for any game-breaking bugs, it should be right around the corner. But let's move on to DM here, who's the programmer. As you'd likely expect, I continued working on the nesting system for Update 5. We now have support for setting your eggs to public or private. This allows players to join you either from a list of available nests via the spawn menu or through a nest code you can share among yourselves. The parents then receive a notification and have the option to accept, decline, or block the player. Accepting it spawns the player inside one of the eggs. The rest of the process was implemented earlier, so now the whole process is functional from start to finish. I also added a system for damaging and potentially destroying nests, so you will need to be careful with where you place them and keep an eye open afterwards. Finally, I set up nests to support different egg clutch sizes, anywhere between 2 and 8 depending on the species. We've been using a fixed number of 4 for testing, so there will now be a greater variety between different dinosaurs. So this is a nice bit right here. We actually do get a few tidbits of how the nesting system's going to work. I know a lot of people have been asking how you'll actually be able to get into an egg, and we get that answered right here. Players are going to be able to join either from a list that's available from the nest or from the spawn menu, so where you pick either carnivore or herbivore. There will probably also be eggs in there. And there's also a nest code, which is cool. So you can give your friend a particular code that I assume would bring them right to your nest. And it sounds like on the parent side of things, it'll be very much similar to Legacy. You know, you'll get an invite or a request to nest in, and you'll either accept them or decline them. Actually, it was more like how it would be for someone who wanted to become nested in Legacy. You would get invited to the nest, so it'll be like backwards. I'm just making this more confusing now, sorry. But it's some good information here. Parents will receive a notification and have the option to accept, decline, or block if there's somebody who you don't want in your nest and they continue to send requests, you can just block them. That's a nice feature to have. And accepting it spawns the player inside one of the eggs, and that's a key difference. It's a key difference from Legacy. When you spawned on a nest in Legacy, the egg just hatched. There was no actually waiting inside of the egg. So this kind of does remind me of Beasts of Bermuda in a way. I mean, just superficially. I need to make sure I'm okay. Hold on a sec. I got knocked out of the tree. What the heck? Guys. Watch it. I'm doing stuff here. Alright, back to business. Let's move on to Wedge, the sound designer, who says, this month I've redesigned the Herrerasaurus calls, using some of the sources from the Legacy calls in order to preserve its signature sound, such as the low bellows used for its broadcast, but adding more character and movement to the original concepts. Something I had to consider when working on these calls is to ensure they are distinct enough so there is no overlap or opportunities for confusion with Dinosuchus, since a main element of both calls are alligator bellows. I've also been working further on the ambient sequence mentioned in last month's blog post, which has gone through multiple iterations and is near completion. You'll have to wait to hear that. I'm sorry, guys. Just a second. All right. Working on further ambient sequences mentioned in last month's. Okay. And then last part here. Finally, I've started to tackle some of the supplementary vocal sounds for the Troodon, which will be good opportunity to expand upon its existing vocals and create something distinct for each mechanic that needs it. This will be one of my main focuses as we head into June. Let me read that again. Finally, I've started to tackle some of the supplementary vocal sounds for the Troodon, which will be a good opportunity to expand upon its existing vocals and create something distinct for each mechanic that needs it. This will be one of my main focuses as we head into June. Okay, I think they're just talking about like the calls mechanic and how it travels through the world and whatnot there. Interesting to hear that we're getting work done on the Herrera. That's certainly exciting. I hope that we'll get more information about the Herrerasaurus as we move forward. If you guys aren't too familiar with the Herrerasaurus, it's a smaller theropod, similar to the size of the Utah Raptor, just a bit smaller, I believe. It's sort of gonna be like a leopard. It's gonna be semi-arboreal. It's gonna be climbing trees and launching ambushes from the canopy. It's a very interesting concept for a dinosaur, and I can't wait to see it implemented. I'm surprised to see they're still working on ambient noises. I feel like they've got that pretty locked down already, but I'll be interested to hear what kind of iterations they have upon what they currently have in game. But let's move on to Siza here. Siza, the video editor who makes the trailers. Besides some Phase 2 clips, I worked on internal projects in the last weeks and prepared everything for working on Update 5's release trailer. This includes a lot of disk space management. All unnecessary files of the last project are removed and compressed to make room for the upcoming material. We're talking about 480 gigabytes uncompressed data per release trailer. Wow, that's a lot of video. But given the quality at which Siza releases it, I can understand that. Documents have been prepared and I have to test the options and possibilities because one of the documents is the first scene collection where I enter all the ideas about scenes I had in the last months and which I have potential to be visualized or which have potential to be visualized in the trailer. Another document is the storyboard, which I was able to finish in the last weeks. Since the content of the update came along very far in the meantime, I have started filming. Unlike the other trailers, this time I will decide on the final soundtracks during the filming as opposed to post-production, since several of those are possible and viable. My goal, again, is to create a clearly understandable and coherent progression. The trailer should be cinematic but also informative, and of course you can expect sweet, hatchling scenes as well. Excellent. Very exciting. Size's work on the trailers is just absolutely fantastic. And we do have a picture here. Let me bring this back to full size. You can see what looks to be a mother Utah raptor in the background, and the little snout of a little hatchling poking out of a egg there. Here we have Tapwing. Time for our sailback fiend. So Tapwing here is going to give us a bit of a breakdown of the Spinosaurus concept art. For me, this was a tricky one to draw. With our Spinosaurus's skull proportioned differently from the more familiar Spinosaurus depictions, ours being straighter, wider, and softer S-curve of the jaw, I found myself unwittingly adding facial characteristics of our older Spinosaurus model. For animal inspirations, a fusion of bear and crocodile comes to mind, making full use of its claws, ripping and swiping, and when the opportunity arises, overturning its more naive prey. Being an underwater walker, it won't swim like its more buoyant water dwellers, but you'd be a fool to think it still can't surprise you. Yeah, this is something that people noticed in the concept art with the Deinosuchus attack right here, or the Spino attack on the Deinosuchus. It appears that the Spino's running along the bottom. This is something Dondi, the lead dev, has mentioned in the past, but yeah, Spinosaurus is going to be very hippo-like. It's not going to swim. It's going to be running along the bottom, which will be very terrifying to see for a Deinosuchus, I would suppose. And I do hope it gets some sort of, like, dramatic, emerging attack from the water, sort of like the Deinosuchus lunge. That'd be really neat, sort of like what we saw over here with these Bipaeosaurus. But yeah, super great work from Tapwing there. I can't get enough of her concept art. It's just out of this world, truly fantastic, and always so much fun to look at and analyze. But looks like we got one last piece here from Kissin' Kitten, who is the producer. Not much to say that hasn't been mentioned about Update 5. We are tying up some loose ends before putting it out for stress testing. We hope you all enjoy it. Shifting away from the topic of Update 5, this month has also consisted of preparation for Update 6. With Gore entering the prototyping phase and Troodon functionality getting some love, do be aware, with the introduction of Gore, the game is going to fundamentally take on a more grisly tone. While we have always planned it and been vocal about it throughout the years, we understand many of you may have forgotten or are newcomers who never knew. But the Isle is a survival horror game, so prepare yourselves to get really uncomfortable really fast. In the best way possible, of course. Wish us luck because we really want to nail it. We are quite excited to be closing the gap on foundational mechanics for the dinosaurs at last. With these foundations set, we can focus more energy into improvements and polish, rather than the arduous task of establishing the main framework for the animals, which has indeed been a challenge. Discovering what works, what doesn't, and what we can do and what we can't. It's been a wild ride for sure. Aside from that, the animation team has been hammering away at some new playables, which include the quizzical semi-aquatic Bipaeosaurus, the gluttonous Ceratosaurus, the fleet-footed Gallimimus, and the semi-arboreal Herrerasaurus. We look forward to talking more about their development as time goes on, so stay tuned. Bye for now. Right on. Well, that last bit there was certainly exciting. The the implication here that they're almost done with the mechanics portion of this game's updates is certainly something to get excited about, if you ask me. It does sound like they are getting through the, as they put it, more arduous or tedious or difficult portions of the development to get onto the stuff that, you know, us as fans of the game have been waiting for is music to my ears, to say the least. Let me read this last bit again. Aside from that, the animation team has been hammering away at some new playables. So hopefully that does mean we'll be getting additional playables here in the future as we get past the mechanics and the polish. There's a lot to, well, I wouldn't say there's a lot, but there's some stuff to be excited for in this dev blog. It kind of feels like we're missing some stuff. I don't see Hypno here. Who else are we missing? We don't got anything from Brian, but I'm sure Brian's just busy. He's the animator. Kissin does mention his work here at the bottom. He's the one who's really taking care of the animations for the dinosaurs. But let me focus again on the positives here to start. It's good to hear that we're almost through with the mechanics focused part of development here on the Isle, moving on to more polish and eventually more playables. So that's something to be happy about. We are on the cusp of update 5. But I'm kind of surprised we don't see a whole lot more in here. I was hoping we'd get some information about humans, which I thought were supposed to be coming here in the next couple of updates. You know, they did say humans by the end of the year, last year, and we did get them for a little while in a beta. But I thought they were going to be moving into the main branch of Evrima with this update, but maybe that's being pushed back to update 6. I kind of would like to get an update on where they are with that instead of being left in the dark. So I suppose, yeah, we're moving on to the negatives a bit. We don't got anything really about perks, elders, tribals. I mean, all that stuff's really kind of quite down the line, but I would like it if we could get a touch on it from the devs from time to time. Because for a lot of people, that's what brought them into this game, was the idea of the humans and the mercs, the tribals, the cannibal stuff, all of the lore around the game too, which has just been just entirely absent for quite some time now. No lore, it's been very dry. But yeah, not a whole lot to say. A pretty short dev blog as far as these usually go. I do hope the next one will be good. Hopefully the update drops here shortly. Sometime here in the first half of June would be fantastic. I'd be certainly happy with that. I would say at the very least we'll get the beta test sometime here in the earlier half of the month. Again, I'm not a developer, so I don't say this stuff for sure. This is just my speculation, so take it all with a grain of salt, but I got some stuff to be excited for here, but I'm also still left scratching my head about quite a bit that's supposed to be coming to this game, but can't expect it all at once. Like they said, they've been talking about all this stuff on and off through different various dev blogs. Maybe a good idea for me to go back and try to collect all that information for you guys sometime, but all in all, that's a dev blog for this month, so let me know what you guys think. I'll read some of your thoughts here in the comments, but that'll be it for now. Let's get back to the game. If I'm even still alive.